We have a guest in the studio today. We want to talk about the insecurity up north in those counties. We have talked about this many times. West Pokot County, we have Baringo, Laikipia, Turkana. We keep talking about it. Elgeyo Marakwet County as well. We keep talking about this all the time. And we will not stop until the day there is lasting peace, until the day the children of these counties wake up from the warmth of their beds at home and walk to school and walk back home peacefully. City has the day's proverb before we welcome our guest to the studio.
Yes, we are still in the country of Niger. Today's proverb is actually a very simple, straightforward one. There is no medicine against old age.
There is no medicine against old age. Okay. The people of Niger consider old age to be what? Like an ailment.
Well, they consider it to be something that is definitive and unavoidable, but they also recognize that there are many people who lament it. It's like they wish they didn't grow old, and yet you must grow old if you're alive. The only way you don't grow old is if you die young.
There is no escaping old age.
No, if you're alive, you can't escape it. You will get old.
There's nothing you can take to keep you young for longer.
You can remain youthful, you can remain strong, but you will get older.
Yes.
Inevitable.
You will get older, and eventually you will die.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Daniel Nanok is the MP for Turkana West. He is our guest in the Situation Room today. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning, Eric, and your team.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Pleasure being here.
Congratulations on being re-elected by the people of Turkana West to represent them in the National Assembly. This is your what time? Your second, third?
This is my third term, and I'm very grateful to the people of Turkana West for giving me 3 opportunities to serve them. Yes.
You know, you're now in that small group of minorities in the National Assembly who have served 3 terms and more.
It's luck, but it also speaks, I believe it speaks a lot about my service to my constituents and the country at large. So it's, we are a minority, yes, but we are there.
You know, Mheshimiwa, it isn't luck. There are those who say, the harder I work, the luckier I get. You cannot be... How many people every 5-year cycle try to be MPs and just never get there? Once even. By the time you are a 3-term MP, there's something you've understood about your job, and the people of your constituency approve of you. And they approve of what you're doing, because it's not as though you are elected unopposed. There are other people who wanted the job as well.
Oh, yes.
Every time there have been other people, but they have opted to have you as opposed to the others.
It is that opportunity that I'm grateful for by the people of Turkana West.
Yes.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa, you come into the studio today not on good terms because of what's recently happened in your backyard. We have even heard in the news that the Deputy President is going to be holding an emergency meeting with the governors from the counties around, the 6 counties up north, because of spats of insecurity. The people of Kerio Valley, this is Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, people of Turkana, people of Baringo, people of Laikipia, people of Samburu, people of Marsabit as well, have not known peace for very, very many years. You cannot say that you have been there for the last 30 years and it has been peaceful throughout. I'm sure even during your tenure, you've had to deal with spats of insecurity over time. Let's begin from just a background of this. What causes this insecurity? We are told it's cattle rustling. Is it really?
Thank you, Eric. And what causes this insecurity? Cattle rustling is the common name. It's the common description of the activity that has been with us for our lifetime. I was born into this lifestyle. And so sometimes people say this is a cultural practice, or that is how they describe it. Others, of course, say it's animal or livestock theft. There is a historical connection to this, for sure. Those years when there were no guns, and this would look like a passage of right. Stealing a goat or animals from your neighbors and replenishing yourself, restocking yourself after a hard drought which has decimated your livestock, with sticks and bows and spears. That is how far it goes back. But that is not what is happening now. It is very sophisticated. Actually, it decimates lots of lives. It impoverishes so much, and therefore, what is the problem? The problem is a mixture of issues. Can I say, maybe from a point of blame, and allow me to think freely on that one?
Yep.
Neglect. The people in the north, in the North Rift of Kenya, did not ask to become Kenyans. These boundaries that were drawn are the ones that brought us into Kenya, and so we're part of Kenya, and we belong to this country by virtue of Kenya's sovereignty defining their boundaries, and therefore us finding ourselves here. You could easily have been in Uganda or South Sudan or Ethiopia if the boundaries took us to those ends.
Yep.
So we are rightfully in Kenya. 59 years now since Kenya got independence. And we are describing Turkana, West Pokot, Samburu, and those regions as what regions? Marginalized.
Yep.
Where banditry takes place, and now you call it cattle rustling. It is a culture. No. We were neglected for whatever reason.
So what did the neglect do? The neglect made you get
It
arms?
has left us behind. It has left us behind, whereas the rest of the country is moving forward, adopting new methods of survival, new methods of agriculture, new everything. We are still being described in our past. As I've told you, it is historical. Yeah, the livestock theft is historical, but it has graduated now into an enterprise, an illegal enterprise, banditry. Yeah.
Who perpetrates this enterprise? Who are the beneficiaries? Who are the actors in this enterprise?
There are many actors.
Is it people from the region, or is it people from
Latif,
outside the region?
Latif, we don't manufacture guns in Turkana or in West Pokot. We don't manufacture bullets. The current banditry makes use of sophisticated guns. There is a gun without a bullet is a stick. Where do the bullets come from? Yeah? And then even these livestock that are taken, if you go today to the area where this incident took place, you will not see those animals that were taken. The 9,000 shots, you will not see them. They are gone. They have disappeared into the markets. It's changed into money already, or into meat. Yeah? So it is a whole chain, a business, an illegal business. Someone has already gotten money out of the livestock that were driven from Napeitom yesterday. And of course, before that happened, someone must have gotten money and provided the bullets that came to shoot and kill. Yeah? Somebody some year, maybe months ago, provided the gun that
this
has
to
done
happen.
this.
You know, when we talk about this, every time we have this conversation, we always ask ourselves, it's not an isolated incident.
No.
It is not just an incident that affects just the locals. People who are hired by the government, taken to Kiganjo or Embakasi or GSU training ground across the country and are trained, and then they are equipped and are paid a salary by the government, are sent to this area and they die.
It's bad. It's unfortunate.
More than 100 police officers have died in just a spate of, 10 years?
Right.
In this region.
Yes.
So obviously the government machinery should be looking at this and thinking, wait, we cannot be losing our own officers whom we've trained at great length and just losing them like that to people whom we don't know. So I want to ask you, in your 15 years experience as a leader in the country, at the National Assembly, and even beyond that, before you got into Parliament, you must have asked yourself these questions as well and had occasion to talk to people whom you've asked this question. What is exactly going on in these counties?
Very. Okay, I've been an MP for 10 years, but I've been in leadership for more than those 10 years. I come from a background of being an educationist. But these problems, really, yeah, they're there. They have been there. How government spends money to train our officers. And it must be costly, of course, to train one officer and graduate them to become a police officer and send them to work. I think there is some level of apathy. I don't know. I don't know, for lack of a better word. Because it looks like we are firefighting. Okay? We go into a lull or into some sleep, and then this thing strikes us. And you now want to firefight, cool that situation, then you continue like normal. That aspect is not, I don't expect it from the security officers or agencies who are trained. They must be alert throughout. They must take care of the lives of these officers throughout. So it cannot be that you are waiting for such an incident to occur for you to activate your systems or your processes of ensuring security, even for your own officers first. And so there is some laxity in our security agencies in that aspect. But that is, and Eric, maybe I don't want to discuss about our security agencies so much more than the incident.
Maybe that's
these officers have lost their lives. That is, to me, a matter that has happened because of the banditry attack. Had there not been a banditry attack, these officers would still be there with us.
Perhaps we should go further back. Are we going for a break?
Not yet.
Okay. You see, when Mheshimiwa talks about neglect, I think let's get granular about it. Northeastern, northwestern of this country, they've been neglected. Not, we think they have been neglected. It's like it was a deliberate neglect. What did it mean? They didn't have adequate schools. There were no roads. Basic amenities that most people in this country seem to enjoy, they didn't have.
Up to now.
Yes.
These things up to now.
If we're talking about in the 21st century, a tarmac road getting to Ajir, and we're talking about it with pride, it should be with shame. There are roads in this country that have been recarpeted and rebuilt, and yet these fellows never had that. These are Kenyans. Then you talk about the importance of education. You say you're an educator.
Yeah.
I'm also an educator.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things that education does, it gives you an opportunity to change because it opens your mind to possibilities. Now, the absence of it is what brings about and contributes significantly some of these problems we find in these areas. You will find that the two go toe in toe. Where there is inadequate education or people drop out of school, people tend to be more traditionally minded and they're more amenable to influences. Now, unfortunately, if there aren't adequate economic activities or opportunities, the ones which present themselves are the ones which we are seeing, and we call them banditry. Because some of them, as you say, are evolved from what was traditionally there, but with time, once they acquire a commercial tinge, it's difficult to do away with it, because this is how people earn a living. Someone goes and steals cows, as far as they're concerned, they're going to make money from it. It's not a big deal. And yet, why don't we see the same issues in places where people who had access to education, people had access to development, and they have cows? You don't hear of these things. But certain things that have never changed despite us going into a new century are still domiciled and are still dominant in some of these regions. But that's phase one. Phase two, does the government understand it? They most certainly do.
Of course.
The question that I ask myself is, why does the government, one government after another, never do anything to ensure that this thing is brought to an end? And yet they can.
And Eric, look at it from this angle. A backward practice, livestock theft or livestock raids or cattle rustling, okay, converted to a 21st century illegal business and or enterprise, okay, using old methods, applying new technology, okay, using old mindsets, and you apply new technology. What do you get? You get a people abused.
Yeah.
Yeah? This is what is happening in the north and the North Rift. A local typical Turkana, herds boy, Pokot, herds boy, Samburu, herds boy, maybe let's even say Marakwet, herds boy, who has not gone to school, does not have alternatives, livelihood alternatives, and sees theft as the way of life.
They're born and brought up
Okay.
into this.
Spice that with an intelligent businessman who wants to exploit, say, a natural resource, okay? Gas, oil, minerals, okay? In an area that is insecure, in an area that is inaccessible. That investor, businessman, woman, who wants to access those resources that are domiciled in this insecure area has all the reason to use this ignorant person to deal with themselves, okay, so that they can access the resources. Tim, this is also a natural resource-based conflict.
So how
Not the way, it is not the locals seeing it in that light.
Yeah, it's
It
somebody
is
else.
someone else. And those are the people we need to start asking.
How do they end
Who
up
are they?
exploiting?
Where are they?
If they fund this kind of violence and the spirit of violence, and they arm the people, the young boys, so they can keep raiding one another, how would they end up accessing the area, access the natural resources, and extract value from them?
Eric, this banditry is targeted at displacing people from these areas.
On to what end? I think, Moshima, that's the question now we're asking. On to what end? You're displacing people in a particular area, trotting off with their cattle, and to remove them from the area so that what could happen? Maybe that would give us
so
insight.
that you access this area more easily with people who are friendly to you, okay? Let's get this scenario Eric can do. Turkana East, which is the epicenter of the current incidents. That is where there is boundary contestation between the Turkana county and Tiati in particular in Baringo county. Okay? There's a contestation, a boundary contestation. Why this boundary contestation? It's not us who draw boundaries. Boundaries are already set.
Yep.
The Provinces and Districts Act of 1992 defines the boundaries of the various districts by then, which are actually now our current counties.
Yep.
Why has it been difficult for government to put down their foot and say, this is the area belonging to Turkana County, this is the area belonging to Baringo County, live at peace with one another, we will secure you in this manner. Why leave this area in this form?
Tell us why.
Okay? I mean, those are the questions that I'm asking. I can't tell the answers. And I'm saying this is part of
But
the
Mheshimiwa,
contributory factors.
As a leader,
Okay.
like you said, you're a leader. You're a leader.
I am.
You're a national leader and you're a community leader. These questions have been asked before.
Part of the reason why I talk of neglect, okay? The use of ignorant people to achieve, other objectives, really. And that is what I'm bringing on the table. Resource-based conflict, okay? Whereas the cattle is what is pronounced. No one is talking about the natural gas. No one is talking about the oil fields that are supposed to be accessed. The other day, government wanted land for the pipeline and what have you. They do not want to engage the community. They want this land for free. This is a myriad of issues. They are not all on the table. Some of them are unseen. Okay? So these are all part of the issues that are making this situation complex. Yeah?
It gets worse and worse.
And that is why I think I want to appreciate the president's tweet. This business must come to an end. And so, whatever it takes, however long it will take, government must focus now.
Mheshimiwa, you talk about the people who would want to displace it. So, and this has been happening for years. So surely the people on the ground must know who these people are.
They must.
But are we
Let's take a break, though.
uncomfortable to...
Let's engage them.
Yeah.
Let's engage the people.
Let's take
okay?
a break.
You know what, Derek?
Let's take a break, Mheshimiwa, so we can come back and continue nicely. It's 7:30. This is the Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. On KTN, on SpiceFM, and online. Our guest, the Honorable Daniel Nanok, Member of Parliament for Turkana West. We are talking about the banditry attacks in Turkana and also the insecurity in those counties. The Deputy President says he's going to be holding a meeting today with the governors and the leadership from these counties like Kipia, Baringo, Samburu, Turkana, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet to find out what exactly is happening and the lasting solution to this. And you're asking ourselves, so what would be that lasting solution? We'll be back shortly after we take this quick break.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In the room is Eric Latif, Ndu Oko, CT Muga, and the Honorable Daniel Nanok, MP, Turkana West. We're talking about insecurity in these counties of Turkana, Samburu, Laikipia, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, and where else? Baringo. The president has actually said, you know what, this spate of insecurity must come to an end. And in the announcement made on Twitter by him, he said, I have instructed police security agencies to take all the necessary steps needed to secure these areas. Cattle rustling must come to an end. Na sio tafadhali. Those are the words of President William Ruto. During the presidential debate, we asked him this question about insecurity, especially in Kerio Valley, and he said the same thing. He said, you know what, we've got to address this issue once and for all. But this has been there for long, and that is why we keep asking this question. It's been there for long, Mheshimiwa Nanok. You have been in Parliament for 10 years. You have also interacted with leaders who've been in leadership from Turkana for very many years, from West Pokot for very many years, from Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet. I mean, a president of this country served for 24 years. He's from Baringo. He was from Baringo. We have seen others from this region. Senior security and military officers from this region, Turkana, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet,
Laikipia.
Pokot, Laikipia, people who have served to levels of general and above, people who've served to the levels of Inspector General of Police, 2 Inspectors General of the 3 that we've had so far, are from Elgeyo Marakwet. Intelligence people. We've talked about neglect by government. We've talked about all these things. But when insecurity happens this much, you have to ask yourself, is it really possible for this kind of thing to happen without the knowledge of government at the deepest intelligence levels?
In fact, the question that perhaps I would like to ask is, can we divorce these problems from these people who've been in power? Because if you are the person at the helm and you have the authority and the means to put this to an end, you are in security, you are in intelligence, you are in the military, and nothing seems to be done. Would we be wrong if we said that you had a part to play in it, that you are part of the problem as opposed to being part of the solution?
Or that we don't know, who it is. I mean, and I think this is the question. This is the thing that we are dealt with. And if you allow me to just give a small story, my mother used to keep a poultry farm, and every now and then she would go in the morning and 2 chicken dead. Okay, they've been strangled or they've been ripped apart at the neck, dead. Okay, it goes. And then at some point we thought, okay, it's a dog or a cat or something that was coming into. But this happened over time. After some time, one of the guards had said, okay, well, we hear this sound at night. And this particular dog, we keep seeing it coming in, out, in and out, in and out. So after some time, they knew very well that this was the perpetrator of this thing. And that's why these chickens were turning up dead. So the people who saw the dog knew that this is the one who comes in and does this thing for whatever reason. They knew it had happened for some time. They knew who it was because they were in the area, just by watching and seeing. And I liken this to this situation, that this has been happening for so long. Is it possible that we don't know who they are and why they are doing it?
This country has an intelligence service. Kenya is a very strong democracy, and we've been independent for all these years. I want to say, maybe just to follow the thought trail of Muga, that as he said, these people have been there. Can we divorce them from the problem? Government is a bureaucracy, Muga and team. Sometimes, even with your knowledge and the information you have, it can be a challenge to move a bureaucracy. So I just wanted to make that point. Secondly, Eric, you quoted the tweet by the President, His Excellency William Ruto. And I want to follow that by saying that, to me, becomes the foundational truth now. Political goodwill. None other than the head of state, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The Kenyan we have entrusted with Kenya has said cattle rustling is a bad practice. It must stop. Yeah? That, to me, is what we needed all this time.
Is it the first time that we're hearing this kind of words and statement from the head of state?
Now, this is the first time he's the head of state. So it is the first time he's making it.
So him in particular, it's his first time.
Yes.
But not the first time that a president has said this in Kenya, following such an
That is what I'm saying, Eric. Political goodwill. For now. Let's take it from there. Okay? Whatever has happened, has happened. And that has actually been a challenge, where statements have been made, where operations have been started, and along the way, they fizzle out. Along the way, they are stopped. How they are stopped, those of us who are not there don't know why. And yet, they were addressing a problem. So what the president's tweet has done, it has laid a foundation for the security agencies of this country to take this bull by its horns. So they have been instructed, deal with it. for me, as a member of parliament and as an affected people, action is what we are now waiting for. Do you know what, Eric? We gave our press statement on Saturday, the Turkana members of parliament.
Yeah.
And we said, we are not giving government any ultimatums. We are not demanding, because they are used to hearing us talk, and for after 1 week, things are gone. We actually said we are requesting government to undertake its mandate. Okay? What are we asking government to do in this case? We are asking government to ensure that there is recovery of lost livestock. We are asking government that they compensate the people who have lost their livelihoods. Okay? Schools have opened. Schools are demanding for fees.
Yeah.
Parents of those people whose livestock have gone are being asked to pay fees. There is nothing they will sell to pay the fees for their kids. So let government do what they are required to do. That backed by the president's instruction.
Let me ask you
Across
Mheshimiwa.
board, kidogo tu,
Yeah.
so that I finish this thought. And so you are saying it is not the first time government has done this. We are watching now, as a people, as a leadership, for what the government apparatus are going to do with this presidential instruction.
Okay.
Yes.
In previous incidences, whether it Marsabit, Laikipia, Samburu, Baringo, or West Pokot, or Elgeyo Marakwet, we've heard the government say that local leadership, particularly politicians, are involved
Yeah.
in this.
Yeah.
Whether it's Turkana, everywhere, we've heard that local politicians are involved. We don't see them being taken to court. We just hear meetings being held, either in State House or at Harambee House, or leaders being summoned to record statements with the DCI, or leaders meeting with the Commission on Integrity and Cohesion, on cohesion, right?
Yep.
But that's all we hear. To what extent do you think local politicians are involved in the kind of skirmishes that we see in the 6 counties? 7, including Marsabit.
You know what, Derek? And leadership is a broad, is composed of many players. I hope when you say local leadership, you are not only talking of the MP of the area.
No.
You are talking of the chief, the assistant chief,
All
the
of
government
The
functionary,
opinion
the
leaders,
opinion leaders,
religious
the religious
leaders,
leaders,
yes, everyone.
everybody.
Yes.
Yeah? That is local leadership. I know I am a member of parliament, so I am here representing the people of Turkana West, and in this particular case, I'm talking about Turkana County.
Yeah.
If we are involved, the instruction is the same. Okay? Let the investigative arm of government do their work. They have the intelligence. I want to believe they do. If Daniel Epuyo Nanok, which is my name, is an accomplice to what has happened, let government not stop at nothing. Let me be taken through the process of being either proven innocent or proven guilty. The rule of law is what runs this country. That business of saying local leaders are involved, and then it evaporates in the thin air. Yeah? What is the problem? Lack of tangible evidence.
So again, I ask you from your point of view,
Yeah.
as somebody who's a leader, somebody who's from this region, as somebody who's exposed to information,
Yeah.
do you think local leaders at various degrees are
Yes,
involved?
Eric, you don't need to finish that question. Yes, the leadership must be involved. Yeah?
So
But then-
why is it that they're never brought to book?
That is a question that we should ask the duty bearers, who has the mandate to call me to account when I'm perpetrating banditry, when I'm the one buying the bullets, when I'm the one providing the guns, when I'm the one giving the market.
But Moshimo, it feels an awful lot as though, I mean, really, that there's a level of comfortability now with the situation. Because if it really, I feel that those, like you're saying, who ought to be brought to account, maybe have gotten comfortable with the situation. And that those who suffer it every year, year in, year out, are the ones who complain. But those who have an opportunity to do something about it truly are just not doing something about it. And whether it is to open your mouth and say, look, I know that it is this person. I know that it is the other person. But I still think that we're playing very safe here, and that one does not want to call out the other, but that Kenyans are dying in a brutal manner every year.
I still say that this incident should now be used to stop this illegal enterprise. Because there is up to now, there is political goodwill. The president himself has pronounced himself to this matter. This meeting that you are quoting, where the president has called for a leadership meeting of the leaders of these regions, okay, or this region. This should be taken to its logical conclusion, where we are seeking for permanent solution to these cases. And therefore, maybe I do not want to be pessimistic that it will end up like it has always been. Okay? That personally, as a member of parliament, as a representative of my people, I have an opportunity now to keep talking about this thing, to keep asking these questions to the government, to the duty bearers, to the police officers, to everybody who will need to do something in order to bring this thing to an end. That is what I can say as a representative. We have different players. These different players need to be brought on board, including the communities that are running these activities. The Turkana community, the Pokot community, the Samburu community, all of them, the Marakwets. We should own up to our contribution to the problem and say, please help us. Please help us deal with this. If it is a question of lack of opportunities, then let us say that the reason why we are doing this is because there is no other way we can earn a living. And so let government help us, okay? And government is in a position to guide, to help, to invest resources to activities that can actually reduce and ultimately eliminate this conflict. So if it is investment that we need, that is a conversation that needs to be done, actually. But these stopgap measures of one day we are having an operation and then the next day everything is quiet because people are afraid, and then suddenly after 3 months it comes back again. That is what we must say no. Government presence, security presence needs to be actually enshrined in these areas. Yeah, we have given, by the way, Eric and the team, in the last parliament, Turkana County government and the Turkana community gave up land so as to allow the military to
set up a base.
Yeah, not just one, 7,000 hectares. You can calculate that in square kilometers. That is a huge area across the county. That is it 700 square kilometers or 700 square kilometers across the 6 sub-counties. Okay? Donated land after an intensive public participation with the community Turkana. One of those bases is in this area that
got attacked the other day.
Yes, Napeitom, Nadome, Kamuge, yeah, Kapedo. We gave the land 2 years ago.
Is the base in operation?
Not even an inch of access road has been done nothing has happened. In my own constituency, I gave 2,000 hectares of land in 2 different locations, Napakin and Loreng, in order to give the military a base. Nothing has happened. And you know what? We are suffering. In Turkana West, we are attacked from South Sudan. We are attacked from Uganda. And my people were ready. They said, we are giving up this land so that military can come and secure us. Up to now, there's no single base.
What do they tell you when you follow up with the Ministry of Defense and the military leadership or the national security leadership? What do they tell you?
Budgetary
We need,
constraints.
yes, it's all about money. Budget to drill the first borehole that will provide water to the military, budget to provide the access road, and then what? All these things. And so when I like my president now because he has actually put himself to account, to be accountable. So I'm going to keep on asking the president. You said it will end.
There's some supportive processes that legislators can ensure are in place to support this, whatever it is we're discussing. Why do I say this? If I look at our security forces, the internal ones, talking about the police force, the GSU, the APs, I begin with the question of, have we insulated them from economic influences that businessmen would actually bring their way? When I say insulated, do we pay them well enough? Do they have sufficient services that would reduce the temptation of being influenced? Because, again, if you have a security force or you have an intelligence force that is susceptible to influence, then we can keep talking until we're already dark, so we can't be blue in the face. What will we be? Deep purple. Somehow I am of this thought, and I don't just limit it to security, I take it to education. Yes, the biggest portion of our budget goes to education, but the remuneration that the educators get, the question is it adequate? What am I saying? I'm giving these 2 examples, and I'm saying there is a problem that we keep looking at, but we look at the symptoms, not the actual cause of it.
Causes.
If we were to tackle the cause and focus on it, and this is why I'm focusing on the legislators, because with many of these issues, you see, we can sense what the truth is, but we keep grappling with the facts. Sometimes the facts don't seem to add up. You're thinking this and you're thinking the other. But if, as you say, the president has put his word on the line and has made a statement, and we want to watch the operation of it, that word really. That changes can come about is not a fantasy, it's a reality. It can. If things that we've said couldn't be done, we've seen done, even this can be done.
It can.
And it can be done in our lifetime. Not.
So what should MPs do?
MPs, I'm going to be prescriptive here.
Yes.
They should be loud, really loud. Mheshimiwa here, on issues pertaining to his constituency or insecurity in the country, he should be really loud, because to the point where people say, can this man not talk about something else other than this? Now, when people say that, then yes, you've been loud enough, meaning you've been heard to the point where some people are bothered. Because if you're not loud, believe me, you'll say it once, twice, and it'll be forgotten, and other things will come up.
Yep.
How do you get young people in our communities? Because this banditry is not perpetrated physically by older people. Older people finance it. It's the young people who do it.
Yeah.
How do you get these young people to be able to be engaged in other economic activities that they would consider profitable? You start with ensuring these people actually get educated.
Muga, you're right. For me, being loud, and any MP within this region being loud, I think we need to. That is our role as representatives of the people, talking to the duty bearers, to provide services to the people as per the dictates of the Constitution and the laws of the land. That is in order. Here, these are all competing interests. Yeah, Kenya is going concern in so many ways.
Yes.
And you look at the people and the way each one of us, there are 290 constituencies now in this country, plus 47 counties, and therefore those are the women reps, county women reps, and the senators. And every one of us represents either an area or a people. I represent the people of Turkana West. We present our needs. Our people present the needs. Parliament makes and prioritizes, and government prioritizes the budget. And so it comes to who is at the top there. What does he or she say about Turkana County or Turkana West in terms of resource sharing? We are in a way disenfranchised because with our numbers, sometimes because of the question of democracy, you know, the many have their way and you have your voice. You can have your voice, but the many have their way always.
Yep.
And so even when it comes to allocation of resources, however reasonable your argument may be, it may be decided against you. And so we will keep talking, we'll keep saying, and
Keep
what
being loud.
I think the government needs to hear.
Yeah.
And that goodwill must be there to know that Turkana County, West Pokot County is part of this country, and we need to develop as a country together.
Together as one people.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Nanok, thank you very much for joining us. Daniel Nanok is the Member of Parliament for Turkana West constituency. We've been talking about insecurity in these regions, and we want to see, the President has said this must come to an end. The Deputy President is going to be chairing a meeting today. The security operators are going to be rolling onto the ground. This banditry must end. The people of these counties, the children of these counties, should go to school like children from other parts of the country. Same way. A very good morning to you. It's 8 o'clock. Conversations continue.